and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Scottish Football, episode number 65 this time. We got that wrong in the last episode, we said 65, it was actually 64. But we're here today for a special episode in the podcast. It's going to be like a bit of Matrix type stuff. We're going to be live on Instagram at some point while
such a part
recording the podcast.
Got some entertainment going basically.
I'm not part of
I said that to you last night.
I did.
Just ripped it off.
I don't remember you saying that to me.
That's what happens when we filmed the Scotland video.
Aye.
He made points, but we had to do it again, so I had
rinsed my points. So on the table, you'll notice that we have a little bit of prop.
We've
got props.
the names. We obviously done the TSF sweepstakes, so in this bowl we'll be doing the draw on the day. We'll be doing the draw. So Ryan will be drawing your names, and David, he'll be drawing the teams to pair up with that.
Yep.
And we'll also be going live on Instagram.
We'll be doing that about halfway through the episode. Hopefully not as controversial as I made it sound in there. Let's just jump right into the podcast because it's going to be a long one today. It's going to be one that we need to get through as quickly as we possibly can as Scotland now officially head into international duty. Now, the other night it broke that John Fleck was diagnosed with a big Rona, that he would be out of the Holland friendly and he'd be in isolation. Alongside that, 6 other players joined him, which included the likes of John McGinn, David Marshall,
Che Adams,
Steve Patterson. He's got the whole list, which kind of left a bit of a question mark as to what would happen against Holland last night.
We're all shaking ourselves if we're being honest.
But we went into the game, we started well, the score finished 2-2, we should have got the win. Dev, we went live, so this is your first chance to speak after the game. Were you happy with what you seen last night?
Aye, absolutely. I said after it was all about the performance and not the result, to be honest, and I think we can hold our heads high after that. Before as well, I talked about my nerves going into the game if they come and they absolutely batter us, and it leaves us leaving with a wee bit less confidence. But we went there, we hold our own, and we deserved to win. To be honest, if it wasn't for a referee, it was given 3.14 absolutely everything as soon as you breathed on him.
You can't still get banned for that, can you? On Twitter.
Aye, but the joke continues. Saying his name, it's 3.14. I was warned on Twitter as well not to mention his name today for the chat.
It has been fixed.
Well, I tweeted his name last night and I was shitting the bed that I was going to get banned.
No, it's been fixed. I was just playing on the joke here, but overall, we get the first goal. We deserved the first goal as well because Steve Clarke got the game plan for me absolutely spot on. He let the players off the leash a wee bit. With also kind of being defensive to a certain extent as well, getting them on the counter attack. The biggest thing I was most impressed with was the press and the quality of the press as well, because you can press teams and run about like an idiot, but actually the quality in doing that. For the first goal, it was evident. Hendry, our right centre back, is hunting the ball down like a predator. Even tackles one of your own players, takes the ball off him, and you're thinking, right, go on, pass it to somebody, pass it, Hendry. And he just launches into the bottom corner. That was the first 10-15 minutes. They obviously go up, poor defending, should have been 2-0. Dykes gets the opportunity, quality in the attack again. But then obviously 3.14 gets equaliser, poor defending, and you're thinking, alright, they make some changes, we make some changes, and then we go 2-1 up again.
Yeah,
with your man Kevin Nisbet.
What a player. I thought we started really well first 10-15. Then they had a wee spell having the ball. The goal was poor. It was. I mentioned it enough times about not having a natural defensive minded midfielder. That's what happens. But I have to say, I thought all 3 midfielders were much better in the second half. I thought Armstrong was the best. I thought Armstrong was brilliant. McGregor was really struggled first half, but the second half was much better.
Yeah, that was. We spoke about that second half, David. There was a kind of. I think a lot of players picked up another level and they realised I think the game was maybe there a bit more for the taking. Maybe the first half surprised them a bit more and allowed them to be a bit more
confident in the second half.
Confident in the second half.
I don't think we can overlook the fact that they took Frankie de Jong and Gini Wijnaldum off at 30 minutes in as well, and up until that point, as you were saying, McGregor was struggling.
Yeah, but again,
to get up to the speed of the game, I think he got caught in the ball a couple of times in the middle.
All 3 of them did it, they were all culpable of that. McGregor just did it, I think, a couple more times.
Maybe a bit closer to the goal and such, and more noticeable. But as you say, they picked it up again in the second half, and listen, centre mid is where we've got plenty of options. So
the problem is if you have McGregor playing that one higher as a 6 as an 8 rather than a 6,
he's not in that position.
He can take those risks. And if he loses it fine, you're not on the edge of your own box, you're a bit higher up. So again, listen, it's kind of square pegs and round holes.
And that was the kind of difference of not having that, as we said last night as well. I don't want to keep using the same points, but it's kind of valid conversation of not having that kind of holding midfielder player, not having a player that would sit usually behind with more attacking players, not having a Ryan Jack if it's got to be him or someone else. It's a difference it makes. But
I was still pleasantly surprised because it was an attacking midfield.
Because that was the first thing I was going to say there. My first impressions, looking at it, was we're going to be absolutely carved open, we're going to be useless in the middle of the park, but it was a pleasant surprise to see how they handled it in the middle of the park.
And I thought, as you say, Armstrong was good, but I thought David Turnbull did alright as well. See, for it being your first cap
against that, I thought he did well.
Exactly, I thought he did. He looked comfortable in the ball, and he could be.
Should have had a goal.
Everybody here knows how good he is in Scotland, but out with that, are people looking at him and maybe thinking, who's this guy?
Oh, definitely they will be, because they don't pay enough attention to him.
In the tournament, if he gets minutes, he could certainly make an impact. There was one moment at the very start of the game where he took the ball off one of their players right in their left corner.
Yeah.
He just pounced on it straight away, so I thought he was decent.
He showed no fear, that's what impressed me. He grew into the game. I thought, certainly, the more the game went on, I thought the better he looked more comfortable. And yeah, he was really, really good. I can't stop raving about how good I thought Ryan Christie was last night. I thought he was phenomenal.
His energy was brilliant last night.
And I literally have been saying it for months. There's a reason he plays in the Scotland team. He offers so much. And he's got a bit of quality for Scotland as well. I look at Ryan Christie playing for Scotland, and I always think he's got something in him. I thought he's going to create something, he's going to score a goal. He's not wasteful. He uses the ball well. Again, comes down to what we've been saying. Good coaching turns him into a player.
Someone replied to your tweet last night, didn't they? They said, when he's not hitting the ball for 40 yards or something. When does he do that for Scotland?
He replied to a tweet saying that, he did it at the playoff. Was it? Well, I also remember him putting one in the bottom corner in the playoff. That'd be quite an important goal. But yeah, I thought he was great. But again, coming back to Steve Clarke, because you said at the start, you got the tactical setup right now. I thought the shape was so impressive. We saw it. We expect Tierney to step out and drive, but you talked about the press, and the thing about a good press is you can have strikers as a two that can press, they can hide defenders, fine. But the good thing about a good press is when the strikers go, the midfielders go, when the midfielders go, the defenders go, and you press as a unit, and we did that so well. If Dykes was up right in their sort of 18-yard box pushing their goalie, our centre halves were in their half, condensing it, forcing them to go long.
And one thing we always give Tierney for it, credit for Tierney, is the way he does that. But it wasn't just Tierney last night. Hendry was brilliant doing it. And Cooper was even.
Cooper had a great game, by the way.
But as you're saying, pressing as that unit, you were getting it from all sides. It wasn't just the regular ones that you get, your Tierneys and your Robertson going high in the press on that left hand side. We're getting everywhere, and that was a good thing. It was nice to see them all doing it.
There are a number of players in that squad. I mentioned it last night. I love Liam Cooper. I think Liam Cooper should play, but there are people who aren't sold on him. Fine. But again, if it's not Liam Cooper, you look at Grant Hanley, who's done really well for Scotland recently. Declan Gallagher done really well for Scotland recently. These guys are all. Scott McTominay has done well at the back. We've got good options at centre half, which a year ago we didn't have any good options at centre half. Just like up front, we have multiple options just now. We didn't have any viable options this time last year. So good problems to have. The fact that we're disappointed with a draw against the Dutch just tells you where we've come from, and I can't wait for Sunday now.
What was your guys' thoughts on the 3.14 free kick right there?
Because
I have seen some people criticising Craig Gordon, but for me,
it's a strike and a half.
I think it's a great strike.
It's never a free kick, is it?
It's never a free kick. I think it's a great strike. The only fault potentially you could say is it maybe gives him a wee bit too much room.
Here's my thing.
I don't think he's saving that.
But I said to you before the first free kick,
to criticise him.
Before his first free kick, I said Craig Gordon was too far to his right and he was going to go far corner. And the first one hit McGregor on the edge of the wall and was probably heading that way.
Yeah.
The second one didn't hit the wall and it did head that way. Now, I think if you're a goalie, if you've got a wall there, you stand more to the other side. I think he was a wee bit too central for me, but again, I'm not even sure he does save it. There's that much pace on it.
The power on it is unbelievable.
It would have been a top save. But by the way, Craig Gordon had only one save to make, really.
It was a good save.
It was a good save. Apart from that, he didn't have much to do. Created a couple of crosses, did fine. So many positives, man.
There's good options at the goalkeeping position, by the way.
Yeah. There's three more than viable options. Just so much to be positive about. I loved it. I thought it was a great game. Really happy.
And before we move on to preview the next Scotland game, which is probably where we'll come next, I just wanted to make a point that I think that, I know it's been a horrendous year for everybody, but in terms of a Scotland footballing point of view, the coronavirus stuff and that couldn't have happened at a better time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's absolutely helped us big time. Not on just getting us to the European Championships, but just for everything that's happened alongside it. The emergence of players like David Turnbull and Billy Gilmore, the development of players. Yep, Adams coming in, the development of players like Patterson and even Scott McTominay, who's came on leaps and bounds in the past year. It's all really worked out fantastic for Scotland. So. It's weird, we've had all these negatives, but in terms of a national football team point of view, it's been one overwhelming positive.
Tierney's fit as well.
Tierney's fit, and that's what I'm talking about. Turnbull was good last year. Turnbull wasn't able to kick a ball, basically.
No. So Robertson was brilliant last night as well.
Yeah, Robertson.
He was very good.
He's going to give his Robertson shout.
I'm chuffed for him, but to be fair, because he has had some tough
moments. The assist, right? He clears the ball in his own box and runs like 70 yards to get that cross in, and it's on a plate.
Well, I was just buzzing at the fact that, who was it? Was it Christie that laid the ball off to him?
Yeah.
Whoever it was. Exactly. I was buzzing at the fact that he actually waited on Andy Robertson overlapping. Because if he had went ahead and just done his own thing, it shows that they aren't really in the same wavelength. But the fact that he knew Andy Robertson would be overlapping and he just sets him up beautifully, who puts into Nisbet, shows that the team...
We don't see Robertson getting those situations for Scotland enough.
Yeah.
For a whole host of... It's not as simple as he doesn't do it enough. There's a whole host of factors as to why that doesn't happen. But, see, in terms of world football, as an overlapping fullback putting in a first-time cross, there's not many better than him at that. And he's done it for years now. And we finally got the brilliant from Nisbet as well.
I was about to say, I'll let you
just
before we move on. Do you want to wax lyrical about
I just thought it was brilliant. And not even just the goal. See, out with the goal, I thought he looked so comfortable and so at home. A couple of times he won the ball, laid people off. I didn't think Dykes was that great last night. I thought he still did a number of decent things, but we've seen better from Dykes. Nisbet looked more than a viable option, and the goal, the finish was nice, but it's the way he peels off and the defender makes that space for himself.
Yeah.
Fantastic, deserved it. What a year he's had. Delighted for him.
It's been a year of ups and downs as well.
Yeah.
Since we started, I can still remember the first ever episode of this podcast, and it was waxing lyrical about him, to use that phrase again, and it's all kind of came full circle 65 episodes later.
Hopefully he gets a goal to Euros.
I keep saying it, he's still going to get better. I've watched him a season times thinking he wasn't that great today. He's going to get better. Nothing faces him.
There's a team in the East End like Glasgow that could be doing with a striker. And
listen, I wouldn't turn my nose up at him either.
Aye, I know.
I think he's good enough.
Why have like an episode just dedicated to why?
Just a fight.
Try to convince
Let's have a fight to the death.
Kevin Nisbet, come to us.
He's got to go to Partick Thistle, isn't he?
Back there. Right, so Luxembourg is up next. That's the weekend. You'd imagine that we'll start to see the return.
Yeah, well, all 6 of those are training today.
Apart from John Fleck.
Apart from John Fleck.
So all of them are back in training. Imagine they'll be available for the game against Luxembourg on Sunday. It's a chance to be a bit different. It's a completely different game. As Steve Clarke's already said multiple times, it's a different challenge. He's not one to overlook Luxembourg. He's not one to make it as if it's a walk in the park. It's a different sort of challenge. So it's a chance for now maybe the likes of Nathan Patterson and other guys to come into this squad and get a game.
Well, that's the thing now though, we've got strength and depth, so if he does make changes, it will be quality that are coming in. I would like to see a midfield of McTominay, McGinn and Billy Gilmore in this. I would love to see that, just to see how the dynamic of that is. Let Billy Gilmore start this game.
Let the other two do their thing.
That's it, I'd love to see that midfield dynamic. Also, Che Adams to come back in from the start. As you said, Nathan Patterson to get an opportunity. Will he go with that? I know that's what I'm saying, because of everything that's happened with the COVID. I think O'Donnell will probably start in the game because he will probably be the number 1 in the tournament if everything goes the way that it's going at the moment, and you'd expect David Marshall to start as well.
Yeah.
But I would like to see McLaughlin get an opportunity.
I would like to see McLaughlin maybe come into the team.
But I think just because of the way everything's happened, he might not get a chance, even if it's 45 minutes.
He's still our number 1.
Yeah.
He's going to play the game, so he needs to play. But you're right. I think everyone will get minutes, though. I think Patterson will get minutes because there's no real benefit in playing O'Donnell for 90 minutes because we know what he can do. He's played a full season. He's fit enough. Patterson, needs minutes.
He needs his first cap before going into the actual tournament.
And I said this last night. If all we see from Patterson, Gilmore, and Turnbull is minutes in these friendlies, it's still 100% worthwhile for Scotland. Fraser, I think, will probably start. I thought he did well when he came on last night.
It's nice to see him back in, especially after not playing a lot of football from the last international break.
I would like to see Christie McGregor not play at all because they need rest. There's no point playing those boys. They've got more than enough there.
Especially Christie because he just puts 100% into everything, doesn't he?
And with McGregor, the poor boy needs a rest. He's not in a rest for about 4 years now.
More than that, I think.
I know it's like there's been a big conversation on, of course, Celtic Twitter about Callum McGregor and how for years we were bragging. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people were bragging about how he played the most football in world football, like more minutes than anybody. But that's not necessarily a good thing.
It's mismanagement.
It's nothing to brag about. You're relying so heavily on a guy who's, you know,
his form has suffered as a result.
His form has suffered as a result. Yep, you're spot on. So it's now kind of a lot of people are now being taken aback and looking at what they were paying a couple of years ago, and we're not just feeling it at club level, but of course at international level too.
The back three as well is going to be interesting. I'd like to see Tierney not play this game. I wouldn't mind Robbo playing because Robbo plays every single game. I know he can play an hour. I don't think Tierney needs to play this game. I think he can sit this one out. Hanley will come in. Gallagher will probably come in. It wouldn't shock me if you saw Hanley, Gallagher and McKenna as a three. Just get them all minutes because, you know, I think we're now at the stage. I think last night's game has really made me 100% confident that Jack Henry's starting in that position. I think that's almost nailed on now.
So, which is another thing a year ago would never have been.
Listen, another thing 3-4 months ago we wouldn't have believed, but he deserves that. I think he's done really well in the last break and last night. So yeah, I'm excited because again, what we will see is all these guys coming in with a point to prove, trying to get in the team, and I think we saw it last night. They were all 100% at it, and it'll be the same on Sunday.
Yep.
Excited to see Adams as well.
So what Luxembourg players are you worried about?
I'm really worried about
John Smith. He is aerial presence.
Are you going to tell us about Luxembourg then?
No, I'm looking through their players just now to see.
Would the Brent saying Luxembourg have improved slightly though? They're not the Witten boys that they used to always be.
Yeah, I think they have. I think you're right in saying that. But I'm looking right now at their squad of players, and I can safely say, and I don't mean it in an ignorant fashion, if any Luxembourg fans are tuning in to see
drop us a message on Twitter and Instagram.
Drop us a message. Yep, I would love it. But I'm looking at the team, and honestly, I don't recognise one of the players. Not one.
But again though, these are banana skins. But again, I don't even think we'll suffer from that because everyone is so at it. I know, but because the concentration levels are so high, the intensity is so high, and that was the best thing for me was the intensity last night. It was just brilliant. I just was so happy with everything. So,
do you want to give a little score prediction for the weekend before the Luxembourg game?
3-0.
3-0?
I'd like to see a 3-0 as well.
I'm going to go for 2-0.
Nice.
Just to,
I'll take that.
Clean sheet would do me, I have to say.
Would be nice. But it's exciting. We're only now a matter of days away from the start of the Euro.
Can I expect more points just coming ahead?
Go on.
Again, the weekend, I mentioned earlier about how good the shape was. If you have, I want to see the team on Sunday play exactly like the team did last night.
Very different.
So they press the same, they defend the same, they move in the same sort of rotations, so that throughout the squad we have one way of playing, everybody knows how to do it, and then if one of the boys who plays on Sunday has to fill in, they are comfortable with doing it. That's what we need to see now, a distinct style that works throughout the whole squad, which, you know, sign a good coach.
And it also looks like we're set on the free at the back now.
And it's working, I think.
I think it did. It worked really well last night.
Yep, I was a big advocate for doing that.
It takes time to get free to work as well. You know, we chucked it in and, you know, right at the deep end, and we had big
unless
games.
Neil Lennon, of course. Neil Lennon got it working.
I think that was more Edward and Griffiths got it working. Yeah, again, I'm delighted that we seem to finally got a system that suits everyone.
Right, well, enough talking about Scotland, but let's keep our attention firmly focused on Euro, or as they would say in mainland Europe, Euro 2020. It's time for the draw, but I'm going to reset the camera, allow us to breathe and sort things out. This is big, because let's just, before we go on the air, before we start, who are we all hoping for in this draw?
Portugal.
Watch us get all three of these
Portugal
teams.
or France.
Let's not give away too much of our actual Euro predictions, but who would you like?
I hate to copy again, but
Yeah,
I've done that. But listen, there's a lot of different teams.
I would like Zamansha.
I wouldn't.
I'd take Finland.
It wouldn't shock me if a dark horse won this tournament.
I know.
Scotland.
I'll take that, mate.
No, I've firmly set my sights on Germany, but look, we'll get everything sorted. I'll go and reset the camera. It's time for part 2
And just
of the
in case anybody's watching us after and hasn't noticed that we've done the draw already, we'll be live on Instagram.
We'll
so
be
we're
live
not fixing this.
We're not fixing it.
Pre-recorded, we'll be live.
Don't be jumping to the comment section going, it's rigged because Ryan got Germany, David got France and David got Portugal.
What's that happening to you?
Fucking off, it happens.
But we'll leave the live up for 24 hours as well. That's how long you can leave it up.
Right, we're live on
I'm
Instagram.
checking connection, right? We're
Well,
going.
I've got to look at 2 cameras now, so I've got a camera here, I've got a camera there.
So yeah, obviously show the camera, but show the people that are watching as well. If anybody does tune in, but obviously people are going to tune in afterwards as well.
Show them what?
Show them what?
Shows them the names in there.
Oh, the names.
Aye.
Right.
So I'm doing the names.
No, you're doing the teams.
No, you're doing the
Oh,
teams,
you're
mate.
doing the teams.
Right.
I'll
So-
be winding the other way, but it's up to you. What do you want to
That's
do?
all, it doesn't matter.
Right,
Just-
okay.
There are 8 people in the live at the moment, actually.
So,
Let's just give it a minute to build it
We've
up.
got Kirsten in the live.
So
She's
what I'll do is I'll go through the standard procedure that we have at all UEFA draw events. Basically, in one bowl here,
UEFA draw events.
and in one bowl here, we have the names of everybody who's decided to enter the TSF Euro 2020 sweepstake. In the other bowl, we've got a list of all 24 nations competing in the competition. Now, I will draw a name.
The home teams, and I will draw the away
and you
teams.
will draw. I'll do it in typical Rod Stewart fashion. I will draw the names, and you will draw the teams. Then we'll find out at the end.
Oh,
who
this is
everybody-
exciting.
who Everybody has got, and of
How many
course,
have we got watching now?
15.
and of course, the sweepstake begins.
Scott Doyle's in as well. He's in
when it
it.
comes to the competition. Now, keep in mind the top prize is
It's not a list.
£170. If you want to
Give it odds.
if you
Oh,
finish
yeah.
second, £50.
Oh!
And finally, if you finish third in the competition, you will receive yourself a score.
Let's go.
Double your stake.
I mean, double your
It's
stake.
not bad.
So,
It's not bad.
should we get underway,
Let's
ladies and
do
gents?
this.
Should we get underway with the draw? I'm going to give it a nice little, you know,
Yeah, a nice
as they
wee
do
spin,
in
mate.
the
A nice wee
championship
spin.
draws. The first name out, the very first name in the TSF sweepstake. We'll try and get through. Oh, you wouldn't believe it's right, Marguerite!
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm out.
Oh, right, so
Right, okay,
David,
hold
do me
on.
a favour here, man. Hungry. It's got to be fucking hungry, innit? I can't believe that. I'm first. There's
Come on.
fucking no way.
Do him.
Oh, come on, Germany, come on, come on.
What have we got
Who's
here?
the guy here?
Oh, come on, it's got to be fucking hungry or something, innit?
Who's it?
What is it?
And round 118, we'll play.
What have I
No
got?
way, who's he got?
What have I got?
France!
Oh, come on, you dancer! Yes! Come on, first team, you beauty!
Get that in the bin. Get that in the bin.
We better write these down as we do them.
Aye, put them next to each other.
Wow.
Don't throw them away, Davey, for fuck's
Wow.
sake. Well, don't forget that, Harry, but... Jesus Christ.
£170.
Even though it's live, I'm convinced it's fixed.
Right, okay, second out. It's going to be...
Everybody in the live saying it's rigged.
It's Mr. Damien Kenning.
Oh,
who's-
Damo.
who's got two teams,
Right, I
so...
want to screw Damo up.
David, there you go, two teams.
Like, get that, you get your eyes off that, pal.
I just
You just get
Scooby-Doo,
spinning, son.
Oh, brilliant. France, absolutely brilliant. We don't really need to write it down because we can always come back and refer to the video to see who got who.
Right, let's get Damien's first team.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant.
Right, let's see
Absolutely
what Damo's
brilliant.
got first.
Let's see his first team.
Oh, he's got Italy.
Italy, not bad.
Decent.
Forza Italia,
Decent.
who are looking to make up for what has been a disappointing set of major tournaments since 2012.
22 games unbeaten as well, by the way.
They're underdogs, I'd say.
Yes.
I think they've got to go well. Not underdogs, but you know, they've not
Damo's
been
second
as
team.
highly. Our second team.
Oh
for
my
Damo.
fucking god.
Who's going now?
It's Spain.
Spain, not bad. The
Oh, the
Mediterranean.
big dogs are coming out.
Everyone who's in the last year's getting
Give
shit.
that a spin. Give that a
The
spin.
Mediterranean fever is out for Damien. Spain and Italia. So there you go.
There's two people I really
Yeah,
wouldn't
one
want to win this.
Who's next?
Right, okay, up next. The next name out the hat. It's a member of TSF. It's Mr. Adam Kennedy. Right,
You've had a nightmare.
Moose.
Damien Kenny's getting his second team.
No, he's got to.
He's got to.
Oh, so he's had,
Italy's
I've
two.
had a nightmare because I'm on the phone. For fuck's sake, somebody hold this
So
out.
up next,
Adam Kennedy.
Right, here's another person.
Mr. Kennedy.
Here's somebody I would like to see get a shite team, so.
Hey, I'm putting this here because I
He's
can't.
got a shite team in real life, so. You know.
Can we see?
Oh, well, aye, that's fair.
Right, we're rolling, right, let's get this out. They've had a good rumble this time, so surely
Yes.
to God we're going to
Right,
screw over
this
that.
is- we go.
Somebody's due a bad team.
Somebody
Surely.
has due a bad team, it'll be me.
Is it Adam?
Adam's got Croatia.
Croatia, not the worst.
Oh, the worst.
Not the
Not
worst.
the
The Croats.
I mean,
They're not getting out of the group,
Of
so.
course, of course.
yeah, well, I'm hoping they do get out of the group.
Just to
That's
throw
the
in,
checks.
just to throw in the stats that Mr. Giorgio Marchetti would, the runners-up in the 2018
Wimbledon, yes,
World
yes.
Cup final.
Remember it well, remember it well.
Yes, out next is another TSF man. It's
Kieran
Mr.
Hall.
Johnny Hayes, Kieran Hall. Kieran Hall.
Wee
Is
Bertie.
is he in here yet? No, he won't
I don't
be.
know,
He's in
I don't
work.
know.
He's in work, so he won't be. Wee
Right,
Bertie Hall.
let's see what Kieran's
Kieran
getting
Hall.
here.
Let's kill all get.
I'm absolutely sickened that you got France.
Ah, mate, I'm buzzing. If I could be £170 up
Okay, let's see.
by the end of the Euros. Oh,
Right,
would set me up nicely
there's
for my
Kieran
game.
here.
Right,
What have we
who's
got for
next?
Kieran?
Kieran Hall.
Oh, got
Two
two.
there. Oh, he's. I wonder what other one.
Kieran has got Austria.
Austria.
Oh,
Not the best. But look,
I
listen.
said a dark horse might do
Listen,
it.
Not the best.
Dark horse,
Right.
right.
I've got a guy up front who's about 17 foot
Even
tall.
Austria are a decent team. We haven't had a shiter yet, have we?
No, we have not yet. And up next It's Kirsten McCoy.
Oh, she's not.
Friend of the channel,
Right,
Kirsten
let's see.
McCoy. Let's see, David, can you do someone a turn here?
I think I've done that already. Right, let's see what Kirsten's getting here.
Kirsten McCoy will
Is getting Poland.
Poland's alright, by the
Lewandowski.
way.
Mr. Robert Lewandowski.
Robert Lewandowski.
Of course, 41 goals in the Bundesliga this season, breaking the 40-year, 30-year
Gerd Müller.
record of
Gerd
Gerd
Müller,
Müller. 1972. It was never meant to be broken. Up next, Scott Doyle, who I believe is
Scott
also
Doyle is also in here.
Scott Doyle up next. Who will Scott
Who you
Doyle
hoping for, Scott? Let us know,
Yeah, to
mate.
be fair, not a really bad team.
Still get Portugal, Germany, Scotland.
Got
England.
I got England in the 2018 World Cup that I did, so
Yeah,
let's make sure I got one here. Right.
Kieran Olds asked in the chat who you got.
Right, I've got one.
Who's it going to be?
Who is
Scott Doyle has got
It's another good one.
Switzerland.
Switzerland. So,
Switzerland.
the home of what, Xherdan Shaqiri?
Yeah.
He
World
wanted
Cup.
Germany, he's got Switzerland.
He did.
Got Switzerland. Not far.
Can't shank
Not
him.
far.
Right.
Up next,
Yeah.
TSF represent once more. Ryan McGinley.
Ryan McGinley. Came in with their last ditch.
Yep, the last
They're all alright,
ditch.
take the last one.
Will the last
Not
ditch
sure
shoot
he's- not sure he's paid it yet, by the way.
It hasn't he?
He's asked for the PayPal.
I get it fucking sent, Ryan. Or it's going to one of the people that are in this live.
I've got one here. Right, I've got
I
one.
can't believe I got France here. It's going to
Macedonia's still in there, boys. Finland and all that.
And Ryan McGinley has got Sweden.
Sweden.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Of course, Zlatan missing out in the big tournament
Jesus.
this summer with the injury, but of course, still a decent enough team. No Mikael Lustig, I don't think now.
No.
No Mikael
Jordan
Lustig.
Larson.
Right, up next is Wabs. Wabs is up next. Who's Wabs?
Let's go, Wabs.
Wabs.
Who's Wabs?
Who's
Who
Wabs?
is Wabs? I don't know.
Well,
You wrote the names.
Well, Wabs is up next. Wabs. Who's Wabs getting?
Who is Wabs getting?
That's a Wab. I mean,
Wabs seen his, but
Wabs seen this, but
and Wabs is getting Belgium.
Belgium
Oh.
was one of the big boys. there.
Well done, Wabs.
Yeah, one of the big boys. I forgot Belgium were even left in the boat.
Right, yeah.
Could it be a last international tournament for Mr. Sean Maloney? Could he be on his way to Celtic? Up next, Michael Harrison, who
He's got five.
five teams, by the way.
fuck's
The
sake.
next 5 teams go to Michael
Well,
Harrison.
No!
Let's do this Pronto then.
Now, let's
Michael
get
Harrison,
through this quick.
watching the
Michael Harrison
channel.
has got
Huh?
Germany.
Oh my
The other way,
days.
the Mannschaft, Joachim Low in his last
See,
dance.
Michael Harrison would have been raging seeing all these good teams come out because he had a chance to get
Now he's got
far.
Germany.
He's got Germany, but mate.
We'll talk about them a bit
He's
more.
also got Russia.
Oh, they're in
Russia.
that false, by the way.
Russia. One of the top 10 nations at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
I believe, Russia.
Oh.
So they're not a bad side.
Saying yes if I know. Number 3 for Michael Harrison is, I've got 2 but I can draw 2. Finland.
Finland, there's
Well, Kamara,
one of the
well,
teams
Kamara.
you were wanting to
Yeah,
talk
you might
about.
And his 4th one is the Netherlands.
Oh, yeah.
My God, man.
Not bad.
Harrison's fucking
And
came
the
in
final
clutch
one for Harrison.
I can't believe I've got France.
I'm gonna get Scotland, man.
You know it?
I'm taking it. I'm wearing the Scotland top, so
Right, Michael's last team then. Let's see who it will be.
wait, how many's had? Is that 3 or 4?
This will be his 5th.
Hungary. That's my
Hungary. So I believe that was 5. Just
Yeah,
to
it was
recap.
yes.
Hungary, Holland,
Finland,
Germany,
Russia,
Russia, and yeah. 5
Nice.
teams for Michael there. Well done, mate.
So who's still to come out the names? I'm still to come out.
I'm still to come out.
Callum Craig's still to come out?
Callum Craig.
Callum Craig's not in
Oh,
it.
he's
He
not in it.
missed it. Aye, he's too slow, mate. He's the only one not in it.
Right, okay, up next.
Is it me?
Sharp Div.
Staddy Div.
Oh no!
Sharp Div
Oh,
up
I'm
next.
just about shat myself. Give that a good spin,
A good
you.
rummage. A good rummage.
Right, so who's left? We've got Portugal.
I didn't know. Oh, I want Portugal. Come on,
We've got
Portugal.
Who else?
Portugal.
Scotland.
England.
Please.
Who is
Right,
them?
Div
Come on, Portugal.
is going to get
Oh no. Oh no. Hungry, I'm getting in there.
Slovakia. Vladimir Weiss. You know?
You have to with that,
I'm
Div.
glad I gave my donation to the fucking pot.
Right, up next, I've probably got 2 here. Let me just get a hold of you. I don't think it's David Buick. I see an S in there. So, it's not an S anyway. DJ Horn.
DJ Horn.
DJ Horn.
Yeah.
DJ Horn.
That was his
There you
name on PayPal, so I don't know if
DJ
that's his-
Horn.
DJ Horn.
Oh, is that Douglas?
Oh,
Aye.
might be.
Could
Ah,
be,
it would be Douglas. It will be with Douglas. That's right.
Oh, I've had a nightmare here.
So Douglas is
Slovakia.
still one of the big teams out
Right,
there.
and he will play
Oh no.
Denmark.
Denmark, not the worst. Decent enough side.
Yeah, they
Down
died
the
back in
way.
the 90s, didn't they?
Andreas Christensen, Christian
Christian
Eriksen,
Laudrup, she's still
Coulson up front.
Poulsen,
Leipzig.
of course, yep. Right, up next then, as we get down towards the end of the draw, It's Big Daddy Guilfoyle. Daniel Guilfoyle up next.
Portugal are still in there, and England.
Aye, it's still a
Some
couple
of the England's are the favourites, by
But
the
then
way.
again, still a Macedonia.
Aye,
Scotland as well.
Scotland's still in there, so Daddy Guilfoyle up next.
He will play
Who will he get? Who will he get?
no.
Turkey.
Turkey, they're dark horses as well, by the way.
Turkey's back line is being dubbed as one of the best
Yeah.
young back lines.
They also battered
Was
Netherlands
it
in the
Karabakh?
qualifiers, didn't they?
So Turkey really.
He's not happy with that. Big Daddy Guilfoyle wasn't happy with that.
I wouldn't be.
I wouldn't be too-
I wouldn't be too angry.
It
with
could
that.
be worse, mate. He could have a fucking Slovakia.
Right.
Split some of these
Okay. Up next is Mr. David Brown Senior.
Oh!
It's actual Daddy Div.
That is actual.
It's actual Daddy Div that's up
He
there.
wants
Who does he want?
Right, and he will
England.
play.
He's an England fan, good man.
Well, it's a shame because he's got Scotland.
Oh!
There he
That's
goes.
not number one on it, I know. That's where they're finishing.
Scotland's out the
He's got
hat.
Scotland.
Aye, there you go.
Scotland.
I wanted them. Can we swap?
Granddaddy Div.
Right, up next, TSF again. Jack Robertson.
Jack Robertson.
Out
Oh,
the net.
Jesus.
Who will Jack? He probably wants England.
Oh, mate.
So what? I think there's Ukraine, North
I'm
Macedonia.
not going to be able to pick myself up for the rest of this podcast. Slovakia.
David's just crossed his
Right,
I
and
mean,
for
I like
Jack Robertson,
Slovakia, but
please don't give Jack Portugal. Please don't give Jack Portugal. Jack gets Wales.
Wales, the Wales.
Gareth
Wales,
Bale,
that's
listen,
good at golf.
listen, they had everyone thinking in 2016 they could do it. You know?
Exactly. Right, okay. Next one out the hat. As we come towards the last few names, I think this could be you, Davy Boy. I think it is you, Davy Boy.
Oh no.
It's Mr. Buick, David Buick.
He's going to get England again, isn't he?
England's in there.
See if he's going to
Portugal's in there.
I've had England before.
But North Macedonia is also left in this pot. He's not looking, I like that, I rate that. He's not having a little swatch of what he could. And there he goes. Right, can I open it for you? Tell you who you get.
No.
Who you get?
Fuck. Czech Republic.
Czech Republic.
I'd rather Czech Republic in Slovakia, man.
Yep.
Jesus.
Them. Unlucky.
I'm doing swaps, by the way, for people watching.
It's a match attacks. Up next, it's the quiz maker. It's
Matthew Duff.
Matthew Duff.
Mr. Duffy himself.
Mr. Duff, who's apparently on it at this time. And I
Jesus
wrong.
Christ.
Boy, needs to order.
Is he in the chat? Let us know.
I don't think
There's
he
two
is.
here I'm trying to split up without looking at it. I've done it successfully.
Right.
Done it.
Right, okay, so Matthew Duff is going to play. Is that one? I think that is one. He's going to play Ukraine.
The Ukraine.
Andrei Shevchenko. So,
So there's two.
We need to get a Ukraine style quiz.
Just to clarify, right? Bit of silence. 3 teams left.
North Macedonia, England,
and Portugal.
Oh!
That's a mad last 3.
No
It can
fucking
go-
way.
It can go either way. Do you know what? I hope we get one of the big ones out now so that it's North Macedonia and like Portugal left.
Do you want to swap?
So-
Do you want Slovakia?
No, I'm fine, mate. I'm alright. I'm alright. Right, okay. Next name out. Here we go. It is Mr. David Thompson.
Oh.
David Thompson. David Thompson.
He's in.
Will he be blessed with one of the big ones or will it be North Macedonia?
Macedonia.
Oh.
Can I half hope it's Macedonia, sorry?
right.
Oh, let's see.
Because it leaves us suspense at the end.
It is North Macedonia.
Oh my god, it's a mare!
Oh, that's
Oh
unlucky.
no!
You have a 2
Don't
and 3
have bad
chance.
A 2 and 3 chance of a potential
Right,
winner there.
only 2 names left in the pot. Did we know any of the
That's
names?
what- I can't think there's any big hitters, so I-
Anybody we're missing?
Let's have a look.
We'll see.
Up next anyway, it's Spunkphone! Oh, you'll be loving this!
Are you?
You will be loving this!
And Spunkphone will play.
Ah! Oh, yeah, he's got competition.
Nah, I'm gonna go and try,
I'm gonna be
man.
going off singing Rami La Cuba de Maison.
And Spunkphone will play.
Oh my god.
England!
So that means...
That leaves.
He loves that. He's going to have the heel tongue with that.
It's Spunkphone.
Which means the last person, Logan Hanna.
Logan Hanna
Logan
has
Hanna.
got
Portugal.
Portugal. And with that, people,
That rounds off the
we're
draw.
going to end the live. If you get any finishing words there, boys, for the live people, there's
What's the
21
podcast tonight?
Allez, le bleu, allez.
Fuck you.
Viva Thomas Suchek.
Aye, well, you never know.
Is Sam Schick still alive?
Aye.
Yeah.
So,
Viva
No,
the Ham
no,
Schick.
no, Savage to Serbian, unlucky.
Right, I'm off. We're off, people. Watch the podcast tonight. Catch.
Allez, le bleu, allez, boys. What do you make of that draw?
Raging.
Raging. Dev. I'm just
I really thought I was going to get Portugal.
I really thought I was going to get Hungary. I was set on having Hungary.
Out first and France out first. That is disgusting.
That is brilliant. Unbelievable. Couldn't write it. You know,
Who got Germany? Oh, Michael Harrison got Germany, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So aye, there's the draw done.
I've had another nightmare, man.
Aye, well, do you know what?
Get these balls to...
Right, that was good fun.
Was it?
Really enjoyed that.
Because my arm's killing me and I get fuck all to show for it.
Look, listen, I had to do a lot of picking. You know?
Jen Dobre, man.
Yeah, anyway, great. We've got a bit of interaction in the channel with that, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. Of course, some people fancy their chances more than others, but as I've already said, you know, let's just hope for the best. Right,
Kill me.
talking about all these nations, it's getting the blood pumping for an international tournament. Let's have a bit of fun and let's divert ourselves away from Scottish football for the last portion of this podcast. Let's talk about the Euro 2021-2020 championships. A lot of great nations in there, as we know. A lot of them we just kind of discussed over in the groups, but we'll now get the chance to sit down and talk about who we kind of favour for the competition. What teams is it to keep a keen eye on, and who do we think might take the whole thing?
Scotland.
Slovakia.
How serious do you think the chances are of
I think we'll get the group.
Do you think so?
I'm hoping we get the group.
Actually, I think we'll get the group.
I think we could.
If we finish runners, as I said to you before, don't want to finish top because top gets runner-up of the group of death. So I want to finish second, and it means we'll get runner-up of Group E, which could be Sweden, could be somebody else in that group. But it's a lot more favourable than winning the group, which is strange.
I feel so good about our chances now because the one thing that impressed me most about last night, and I didn't mention it earlier, but I meant to. Last night we played Netherlands, right? We didn't play the reputation. We played the team. We didn't go in there playing fuck it's Netherlands. We played the team that was in front of us. We do that against Croatia. If we go into that, it's like, right, let's just play what we've got. I mean, Croatia, reputation, good side, people might fancy them, but see on paper, not what they once were, a couple of aging players in there. We go and play like that. Same with Czech Republic, you know, you go and play the team, who knows? England as well. Reputation always is exceeding their ability.
I watched their highlights last night and they are gumph at the back.
They are so reliant on Jack Grealish.
There are two starters.
Don't get me started on Grealish because look, let's kind of I've got a nice little kind of bracket thing here which is going to allow us to talk about four different aspects of the competition. We're going to start from bottom to top because the top is obviously who do you think will win the competition. So we're going to start with the bottom, Golden Boot. Who is going to be the top goal scorer at this competition this summer? I'll start this off. For me, there's one man that jumps off the page. Depending on how far they go in the competition, the number can change. Romelu Lukaku.
Ooh.
That is the man for me who could finish top scorer of this competition. I really wanted to come out and say Timo Werner because I love Timo Werner, but I think he's got the chance of playing off the left, which would suggest to me might not score as many goals.
So I'm going off the left though.
I'm going for Lukaku. Yeah, but he played up front a lot as well.
I think it'll be Robert Lewandowski.
Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah.
Do you think? I would say Lewandowski. Normally is who I'd go for straight away. Poland haven't been great in the last few international tournaments.
I mean, they've got Spain in the group, apart from that.
And Lewandowski in particular, I was talking to my friend Patrick, shout out to Patrick, who is Polish, speaking to him and work the other night, and he was saying, you know, Lewandowski hasn't been great at these last few tournaments, which is true. He's not been anything special, he's not been the player we know he can be.
I'm changing my mind.
So he needs to, you're changing your mind.
Who are you going for?
Ronaldo.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Last dance.
The last dance?
Yeah.
I can make Qatar.
Yeah, but he won't win Qatar, he might win this.
Back to back.
I wouldn't honestly.
Do you not think he's got a better? Do you not think he's got a better chance of winning Qatar? I would argue he's a better chance.
I mean,
because the Portugal players will be coming into rows and they won't be so reliant.
In another year's time.
You might think of
1 year?
Ruben Diaz.
Do you not think in the last year he's dipped?
I think dipped for his standards,
Yes.
but he's still a player who scores, you know.
And he's still scored over 100 goals now for Juventus.
And this Portugal team will only get better than this.
The Portugal team is in such form just now. Fernandes, Diaz, Jota, they're all.
But will they come together for the first time and do that? Because this is nothing.
It's a better squad than it's a better squad than 2016.
Yeah, but it's not the same team. So
fun.
this is the first time we've played in a major tournament together.
Yeah.
So is there that gelling period? Is this going to be the tournament they don't do so well?
Historically as well, Euro winners never do well in the follow-up.
That's right.
But as you say, they've got a much better squad.
Spain
They
went.
were at Spain, they were just a different animal. They were a different animal, Spain.
So you're going Ronaldo,
Yeah.
I'm going Romelu Lukaku, Div.
I am going for Martin Scuttle.
Vladimir Weiss.
I am going for Kylian Mbappe.
Oh yeah,
Kylian
that's a
Mbappe.
I'm going Kylian Mbappe. And
Good
the
for the
World
French,
Cup,
of course. Good for the French.
obviously they're still world champions.
Yes.
He was unbelievable in the World Cup. Done really well. Griezmann, I think, finished. No, was it Harry Kane or something like that? But Griezmann out with that finished top goal
Harry Kane's
scorer.
not a bad shout, by the way.
Harry Kane is a good shout. He's one that's been overlooked. But Kylian Mbappe, I think France will go all the way to the final. so that gives him most chance to score some goals.
Yep.
I'm going for him.
One player who is now involved in the France squad, who hasn't for the last decade, Karim
Karim
Benzema.
Benzema
yeah.
missed a penalty.
Yeah,
last
did miss a
night.
penalty last night, but he's back in the national team.
Banging them in for Real.
He
Yes.
could be another guy up for that top goal. There's a lot of great
So
signings.
excited for this
So good,
tournament.
isn't it?
I can't wait for
Listen.
this.
Che Adams.
Che Adams,
Kevin Nisbet.
John McGinn. Let's
John
before you do this,
McGinn.
it's John McGinn.
Well, let's move on to the next
Item on the agenda.
item on the agenda. Yes, let's go into your surprise player, your breakout player of the tournament. I'll start this off once again. I'm keeping it very Belgian here. I'm going to go for one Mr. Jeremy Doku of Belgium, who I think could have a very big.
It's just going to light up Europe. This.
One of those. You know how every major tournament there's one player who, you know, James in 2014, 2016 you had fucking Hal Robson Kanu. 2018 you had who's 2018?
Zhiba from Russia was quite big in
There was
2018.
another
He was
guy
good.
from Russia as well.
Cheryshev.
Cheryshev, yeah. A lot of good players in these tournaments. Jeremy Doku for me is someone who is continuously getting better, and he could do that in this tournament, take it to an international level, and he'll probably get a big move sometime soon. So Jeremy Doku of Belgium for me.
What's the criteria for this? So
Someone who isn't, you know, a household name that is going to have a big breakout performance, a surprise performance. So it could be someone older who's going to be a surprise, or someone younger who's going to break right in and do something big.
This is hard because this is one.
could-
You need
See, I was
to
going to
really
say
have a good
Tierney already is a household name, but I think I'm going to stick with that shout because I just think he's going to be wonderful as he always is. I think everyone will be up and going, oh my god, he's fucking amazing. I think Kieran Tierney. And when he's lifting the trophy, you know, you can't help it.
Yeah.
Kieran Tierney, going for Kieran Tierney.
I think he's going to be an absolute
This is his
standout.
first big stage.
On the international
sort of
stage,
thing.
definitely, because he's not really had that. Even for Scotland and qualifiers, it's been good, but he's not had a moment yet. Do you know what I mean? And I think he's just going to smash it.
I hate to go down this route.
You're going to say someone like
Bukayo Saka.
yeah, or someone like that.
No, I cannot. Why is he in the squad in front of
Saka?
Lingardinho? In front of Lingardinho, I know he's a good left back
I'll
option.
tell you why he's in the squad.
I know he's a good left back
because he
option,
plays
but come on.
everywhere. Plays
So
right
does
back, left back, centre
Lingardinho
mid.
could do that.
Oh, jeez. So
I'm going to go for a guy who is starting to get the credit that he deserves this season in the Premier League.
Gosh.
Grealish, your boy, your man
One of my
Grealish.
favourites.
Because even though everybody kind of knows on these shows he's a player, and this season he certainly is starting to get the recognition he deserves, he was still talked about, will he get in this squad? In Southgate, wasn't he putting him in the England squad for a while, wasn't he? No, it was only under pressure. And although we don't want England out the groups, we want ourselves out the groups, I think if they do progress and they get through for the last 16 and they go on, they could have a real good chance in
They're
this
so
competition.
reliant on him.
And
Grealish
Grealish
he's a
so
proper-
good. See for playing for a mid-table team in the Premier
oh,
League,
Aye.
he carries them. So
does.
obviously he's got McGinn behind him.
You've seen the difference, and I watched a lot of Aston Villa this season. One of the teams I enjoyed watching the most of the Grealish was in the team. When I watched Aston Villa, and this isn't a keen observation, it's very evident, but when Grealish got injured, when he got hurt, they faltered big, they needed him. They really suffered without him in the team. So he's just magic. What he does with his feet is unbelievable. He's a brilliant footballer, generally magical to watch. Can't wait to see him in this tournament, in all honesty.
So I'm going to go with him, and as you say, you get big moves off the back of standout performances, and his
Manchester United bound.
and it's up.
So
Maybe
it's
even
every
bigger.
player for the last 10
Maybe
years.
even bigger.
94.
But some of the names that are being suggested alongside these guys for breakout players, you've got your Ferran Torres for Spain, of course, Manchester City player. Bukayo Saka has been shouted a few times. Pedro Gonçalves of Portugal. Moise Kean, who's had a really good season.
Good season for
That,
PSG.
He just
I
remembers.
watched him
his
against
brilliant
Barcelona at the Nou Camp. He was
Brilliant.
unreal.
Choupo-Moting did well for PSG.
Brilliant player. Moise Kean, brilliant player. Ignorance, absolute ignorance.
Choupo-Moting did well for PSG.
One of the best young players in Europe at Juventus. Had a bit
Done
of
alright with Juventus
Yep.
under some.
Yep, and a brilliant season for
Shit,
PSG.
some-
PSG actually want to bring him back. Brilliant player, Moise Kean. Jota being shouted. Yuri Tielemans, another one who could be very big at this tournament. A lot of good young players at this tournament. Right, dark horse, the team that could win it but necessarily isn't a favourite. I'm going to go and start again. I'm going to go for a team who normally would never be considered a dark horse, but with recent international tournament performances, I'm going for Italia. What a squad they have got. What a team. And Italian football is just getting better and better and better. What a season it's been in the Serie A. Inter Milan, of course, winning the Scudetto for the first time in 11 years. Brilliant. So for me...
Cut about in the Scudetto.
for me, Italy is a team who can go and win this. Normally, of course, would always be a favourite.
Spain are in that same bracket.
Yeah, Spain are in that bracket too. So I'm going to go for Italy. This is the thunder. It's coming back.
Italy always do well at tournaments. They're a tournament team. You can never count
Not
them
done
out.
too well in the last couple, right enough. They didn't qualify for the 2018
Usually
World
though,
Cup.
usually I
Shite in
remember
2010
when they
as
went
well,
to when Italy went to
They won the World Cup.
historically, when
76.
Italy went to
Yes,
the
yes.
Euro final against Spain. If you looked at
Oh,
that team,
Mario
yeah.
if you
Balotelli.
looked at that team and says they were going to go all the way to final, yes, they get battered when they got there, but you would have been surprised at that. And even see when you look at their squad at the moment, yes, they've got some really, really good players, but they don't have that standout player, like star player. And that's what I like about Italy. They're a team, you know, and, and their unbeaten record would suggest that.
Generally, I'm looking at the Italy squad ahead of me. There's no reason it can't win it. From back to front, you've got Donnarumma, you've got players up front like Ciro Immobile, you've got Andrea
Sorry,
Bellotti.
what? Ciro Immobile?
Immobile. You've got Brian Cristante, all these players.
Bruno Fernandes.
All these players are unbelievable. I'm looking at the team, I'm like, that could win the tournament, but it's, yeah, as you said, there's no player there you go, you know, it's not like Portugal who have a Ronaldo, it's not France having Mbappe. It's not a squad like that, but all round, very good in Forza Italia. So there you go.
I'm
That's
going
my
to
dark
go
horse.
for Poland as my dark horse. I went out with the, I'd say, top 8 teams there. Poland, they have that man Robert Lewandowski, the king. You cannot overlook him. Best striker on the planet for me. If he gets going, if he gets chances, they could do well.
So that's yours.
It's
I'm
annoying
not
because you
Poland,
can't
Poland.
even see in 2016 you could have said Portugal as a dark horse. You can't do that anymore.
They're the current, they're the defending champions, of
Yes.
course, of this competition. So, you know, and a lot of people have them down as the favourites.
If Virgil van Dijk was fit, I'd say Netherlands. But
Even
he's not.
Netherlands have came a long way.
I know, but that's why I
They've
have them
missed-
as they would be a
they've
dark
missed the
horse.
last two international
Exactly.
haven't they?
So they would be a dark horse. And if you had Van Dijk in there, I'd go for them, but they don't. So I don't know. I really don't even
I mean,
know.
there's a few. Turkey have been coming into their own.
Okay.
Let's go with Turkey.
So I'm going for Turkey. I've seen a lot of people in the.
They've gone for Scotland
going
now.
for Turkey. They've gone for Scotland. Surprised he's not went for Scotland. He likes that.
Well, I will say in Scotland, but I think we can surprise people with this.
We can.
Oh, yeah.
We certainly
I
can.
think quarterfinals.
We can surprise people with how shite we are.
Oh, come on. He's still on the France brigade now.
That's me,
Italy brigade and
Jump
the fucking-
allegiance.
Winner of the
Yeah.
tournament. This is at the final part. Who is winning UEFA Euro
Portugal.
2020? Portugal.
Yeah.
Any reason?
Back to back, baby.
Back to back.
They're a young team who are getting better, full of world class stars. Goals all over the team, strong in defence. Can't wait. The last dance from Cristiano. This is his last. I know he's going to be at Qatar, but he won't win Qatar. He will win this.
Win
I think
Qatar. You're
that's
overlooking
a better,
Qatar, mate.
better chance of winning Qatar.
You're
than this
overlooking
tournament,
Qatar.
Better chance. Unless they all get crippled with injuries over the next couple of years, then that would take away the chances. I'll go for me, and it's no secret that I have a hidden bias towards the Germans. Germany's winning it for me. Joachim Löw. We're talking last dance. This is Joachim
Jesus.
Löw's last dance. This is
I
it.
mean, they've been shite.
He'll be sniffing those balls and walking out with a trophy in his hands. That's what he'll be doing. They've picked a really solid squad. What's good about the Germany squad is the fact that... No, they've picked a really... I'm not going to go through the names, but the thing is, we can't talk about football, you start talking about football.
Because the Germany squad's going to get wrapped. We'll go through all the names.
You get the Germany squad.
Here comes pronunciations.
Well, a lot of guys in this squad are guys who've been performing at teams who aren't, you know, you're looking at your Gladbachs, you're looking at your Freiburgs, you're looking at teams like that. These are the players are picking, and it's good. They're solid players who've had very consistent seasons. So for me, and then you've got the flair, of course, of your guys like Joshua Kimmich and Thomas Müller. You've got the big names. So it's great. It's a really good squad. The big key miss for me, and the guy that I'm going to miss the most, the whole tournament, it would have been my whole player of the tournament if he was there. I missed Marco Reus, but he's not there. He's not going. He's not going.
He's got fucking Weetabix knees. He's been.
You fucking hands off, right? You don't watch.
Hands
You
off.
don't watch.
I was going to
I
say,
know. But what else
say
really is, for the
Bellingham
last
for a
15
break.
years, all we've had
Marco
like
Reus.
years, and it comes all the way in.
This was the first ever time in Marco Reus's career that he was on top form and fit before a major
Before
tournament.
he wasn't fit.
What?
Before he wasn't fit.
No, he is fit, but he's just choosing not to go.
Well, can't be that good then.
Well, he's choosing not to go for the sake of himself.
Oh,
Marco
that's
Reus is?
shite.
Yes, Marco Reus.
Right,
Well, Marco
that's
Reus decided not to go because he needs a rest, he needs a break. If you like, he needs a bit of time away from
Yeah.
football. So he's pulled himself out of the squad.
Booked a holiday.
He's booked a holiday pretty much. But that Germany team, for me, is just unbelievable. Timo Werner's having the competition of his life. The Mannschaft are going to be the European champions.
You know your
Nice.
country got this tournament.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't think Scotland are going to be the
No,
European
but you're fucking
champions.
going on about supporting Germany here like there's no fucking...
never said
Timo
that.
Werner's oh, can't wait.
I never said anything about
Fuck
supporting them. I'm
off.
spitting-
I hope they all
spitting
fucking get
facts.
beaten in the groups. They're fucking
Spitting
shite.
facts.
Who gives a fucking shit? This isn't talk Germany football. Fuck
Oh
off.
my god.
It would actually be talking
Nonsense.
German football.
No, probably talk Deutsch.
Well, let's not get into my tournament winner
It's the
then.
Gegenpress.
Let's turn that into talk English football.
Oh, you're not, are you?
No, wait. Listen, my winners, my choice is Portugal.
Portugal.
But I was going to spice it up there a wee bit and go England just to. But I don't think England will win it. I think we'll get put out in the last 16. I really do.
Fucking groups.
Honestly, Portugal. If Portugal get through the group, I think they could go on and they could go all the way. As you say, they've got a much better squad than they did previously. They've got Diaz at the back, who's had a breakout season as well. They're solid there, and then up front they're top heavy. They've got so many options, and in the midfield, talk about breakout players. Bruno Fernandes, his first major
Bruno
competition.
Fernandes.
He could really stand up to be counted. I don't know how many goals he'll get because he'll not be on penalties.
That's right.
Ronaldo will be on penalties,
That's right.
but
I
I think they could do well, and to balance it, they've also got the experience of guys like Yao Martino and such,
Yeah,
who will be in the
exactly.
squad there or thereabouts. So I think they could go all the way and
Even
run
like-
back you and
even
go Portugal.
players like-
I'm raging with
Ray Patricio, you know?
Hannah, like go to that.
Aye,
Logan
good,
Hannah.
it's a good team to have. Thing is with Portugal, it's going to be so interesting to see this team work for the first time at major tournament, 'cause it's so different from where they were in 2016, which is really exciting because they're much better than what they were in 2016. But will it work?
But will it work?
Will it
It's-
work?
it's
That's the
weird,
question.
aye.
Because I was watching. Do you ever scroll through TikTok? Fucking hell, somebody's farting out there.
You go bring out
You
the
ever
fight.
watch? You ever watch in TikTok? Do you just get that those guys? It's called the Wonder Kid podcast.
I think so,
And it's
aye.
the Portuguese
Aye,
guy. You know,
aye.
he sits there. and
Cristiano
he goes,
Ronaldo.
he's like
Aye.
Rafael Cra, Ruben Dias, and he goes, and I'm fascinated by that.
It's so weird because I was going to bring that up earlier about
Aye.
my For You page, constantly having
constantly them.
that.
João Cancelo, Bruno
Aye.
Fernandes, they've just gone through the whole team.
My For You page.
The pronunciations. That's on your For You
Oh,
page.
you don't want to know.
Bunda!
No. Right, Portugal. So we're going Portugal, Germany. That's us. That is our predictions for the Euro 2020. Who will win the competitions? David's just gutted because we're not talking about this bit anymore.
No, just because we're not top of Scotland.
We're talking about real football. Oh,
He's gone heel this.
aye. God, I love it. I love being able to talk about all the foreigners. You know, that sounded weird.
That must be a Brexit.
You know, it was. Aye, it was.
Like, come over here, take our bloody jobs.
Let's take our fucking football office.
Do you think that's what we Steve the Button
Get us
sounds
another
like?
Carling, get us another Carling.
Another car, and I'll keep going about them.
I'll get me Stella, a good English player, none of that foreign nonsense.
Yeah, a lot of good teams in the tournament. As we know, I'm very excited for Euro 2020. Actually, because Scotland is here as well,
Makes it even
I
better.
think this is generally the most excited I've ever been for an international tournament.
100%.
I've never been more excited for
So
an
how
international
in South
tournament.
Africa was
We're
like-
coming into our prime as well, wage-wise, so...
Yep.
Who us are the squad.
And the squad.
Prime
Get
Prime
in.
time.
Can't wait for John McGinn to
If
score.
we get out the groups...
We will. I'm so confident we're
We
going
never even had a best player at the tournament. I'd be going to begin for that. Best player at the tournament. We done a breakout start, but who's the best player at the tournament?
John.
Scotland's best player,
John,
I'm
not
gonna
just
go-
John McGinn altogether, innit?
Scotland's best player, I'll go
Scott
with...
McTominay. So,
We keep picking the same shit, so I'll change it. I'll go
The disrespect
the boy Tierney.
on our number 7.
I'll go Tierney.
Tierney, that's a shout, by the way.
oh, it's not disrespect when you're talking about Tierney though. Bring him home, see us.
Oh, it's not Andy Robertson, is it? Oh,
Nobody
Andy
said it. Who
Robertson,
said it?
Can I be your friend?
Who said that?
Look, I think that's us anyway, isn't it? I think we've covered everything.
Aye.
His face. Stephen. You got anything?
I'm still saving for the sweepstakes, to be honest.
What's
Give me
this?
a sec.
Oh, you! See, it's you who slams the table.
Yeah, I did an emotional sentence. You just said about Twitch. What's going on?
If you want to follow me on Twitch, official Ryan
That was fucking smooth. I'll give you that.
So aye.
That's us, innit?
That's us. What an episode, that was
Scotland
brilliant.
are going to win the Euros.
Aye,
Can't wait, man.
it'll be coming home.
Let's cut the bullshit now. The cameras are off. We'll win it. We'll win it. Coming home.
Can't wait for England to go out the groups. Honestly, it's going to be fucking glorious.